afternoon, good evening. Hello, everybody. Oh, James, I can see you in the background.
Hi, goodbye. Love you guys.
Yeah, he's going to the farm now, doing a farm tour at our little coffee farm. Good morning and welcome to today's live stream, you guys. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Keiko. I'm an artist and watercolor paint maker, and I live in Hawaii. And I host a art challenge every month over on my Instagram and here on YouTube. And every month we focus on one color. This month the color is blue, and then every week we combine it with another color and we paint a different prompt. This week the color combo is blue and yellow, and we're painting birds. So I did a whole sketchbook spread, just, you know, as an inspiration for you guys. But generally speaking, you can paint whatever your interpretation of this week's prompt is. So I did that on purpose. Birds, very vague. You can paint any kind of bird you like. But today, in today's live stream, we're going to paint this blue jay. And you know, a blue jay is just blue, gray, black, and white, so there's no yellow in it. But I found this gorgeous reference photo on Unsplash that had a beautiful yellow background. So I thought, you know, it's a good opportunity to practice having an underpainting in one color and then painting over it and seeing how the colors develop. So what kind of beautiful shades of green and blue you can accomplish by painting on top of this yellow color. All right, let's turn the camera around and I'll talk about the supplies and the painting plan for today. All right, so here we go. Just 1 minute till I have my phone stand ready. I'm gonna put my sketchbook down for a minute. Okay. Just gonna adjust, and I have my iPad ready too, so I can take a look at the chat in a moment and see everybody who's here with us today. Okay, let me do that real quick. Let's have a look at the chat. Hello everyone. Oh, my mom's there too. Hi Mom. Hi Taki. She got a really bad cold. She's coughing, so I'm surprised she's here today. Oh, arme Mama, gute Besserung, Taki. And hello, everybody. Hi, Tracy, Debbie, Linda, Agnieszka. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, it's wonderful to see everybody's name pop up and, you know, recognizing the names from over on Instagram, too. Servus, Tanya. Okay, all right, you guys, let me talk real quick about something that I didn't realize until today, and that is that I actually told you guys that I used lemon yellow and ultramarine blue deep for this painting. Ultramarine blue deep, yeah, that's true, but I realized I actually did not use lemon yellow for this bird. I used the medium cadmium yellow, and I'm sure you can see the difference. So lemon yellow is a very cool color. It leans towards green, and this is a very warm yellow. So I actually used mango, which is a medium cadmium yellow. I don't think it really matters. I can show you the difference here because I did another blue jay with lemon yellow. So the whole painting has a bit more of a cool atmosphere to it. So if you prefer to have something a little warmer, maybe reminiscent of autumn and fall vibes, then, you know, just use something that is a warmer yellow. So like a maybe an Indian yellow, gamboge, new gamboge, or dark or medium cadmium yellow would be a good choice for this one. But I'm using Kalani today, ultramarine blue deep, and I am actually going to use the lemon yellow and also a bit of shark. That's black ochre. I think actually it's a gray ochre, but it looks black. So, and I have my Moleskine sketchbook. I started this such a long time ago and I really want to fill it. So I decided I'm just gonna fill it with paintings from this challenge this year. So yeah, let's see. I think 1/3 more to go. Moleskine paper is 25% cotton, which is nice. So it's a mix of cellulose and cotton paper. And what I like about this particular sketchbook is that the pages are the same on both sides. A lot of sketchbooks have a back side and a front side, so the sides are different. Oftentimes you have one page that is smooth and the other one is a bit rougher. So I mean, I can work with that too, but I prefer it when the pages are the same. And as for brushes, I'm going to use a number 10 round brush today and a number 4 round brush. You can use, you know, any type of larger brush today. It's basically just to paint the background of the bird, and then a smaller, like a medium brush or so for the branches and for the bird. And you might want to have a really tiny detailed brush in case you're painting really small today. You know, it always depends on the size of your paper too, what kind of tools you choose, of course. Okay, we're gonna start with painting the yellow background, and it has to be really dry for us to continue with the next step, which would be to draw the bird in pencil and then go and fill in the first layers of watercolor in blue and then finish with the details of the bird. So I thought we can do something like painting the background first and then maybe do some color swatches so we can find out what nice shades of green these two colors create, and then do our sketch and then do the next steps. All right, let me have a quick look at the chat if there's a question. Aw, danke, Dagi. And because they are just talking about Tanya's bird in the chat, I saw that too, like the toucan she has today. So Miss Nice Day has a YouTube channel as well, and there's a tutorial about painting a toucan in Neocolor 2 water-soluble crayons today. I can't wait to try that one. You know, sometimes when you see something, you're immediately like, I want to paint that too. So I felt like that with the toucan today. Sehr schicker Toucan, Tanya. Okay, for the background, I'm gonna grab my large round brush. I'm just dipping it in water off camera. I'm not taping my paper, nothing. I'm just laying down some wild strokes here. Make sure that you don't cover the entire rectangle of your paper. You deliberately want white space. So if you look at my original bird, you can see that I utilized the white spaces for the shape of the bird. Now you don't have to overthink this. You don't have to put down the white space exactly where the bird is. I want you to be just, you know, wild and free today and lay down some random strokes with water. Then we're gonna pick up some lemon yellow. And because my paint is really, really soft right now, see, it's almost liquid, I will use my ceramic palette to just make it a bit more smoother, mix it up a little better. Let me just move things around so you can see better. Okay, good consistency. And now we'll just go over the water background here. Make sure you put down a little more pigment in some corners, a little less in some others. And here we go. And I can already tell this is probably where the head will go of the bird. And then down here, you know, it's gonna be situated in here, and then the branches come down like this. All right. You know what? Maybe I'll just drop in some of my medium cadmium yellow too. I always like to try something new in my live streams. So let's see. Ooh, oh, isn't that beautiful? I like that. So if you have a little bit of a darker, warmer yellow, you can try this too. Or you can just stick to your lemon yellow. You could also just use orange and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of orange and mix it with your lemon yellow to create a warmer shade. I'm liking it. Okay, nice. So let's let this dry, and while it dries, we can start mixing up some green with our basic yellow and blue. So I'm just gonna put this to the side so I don't drag my hand through this. Bring down my palette a little. Okay, just looked over to the chat. Ja, gute Besserung. Arme Mama. Agnieszka says, I decided to paint an olive-backed sunbird using only lemon and Kalani. I finished last night, but I think I made the background too dark because I did not use any negative painting. Ooh, I want to see. Just show us. Sometimes it's really hard to imagine just from somebody describing the painting because it sounds lovely. A sunbird. Is that a specific type of bird? I'm not familiar with the word sunbird. I'm intrigued though. Sunbird sounds good. And hello to Vermont. Hi, Jessica. Okay, so I have lemon yellow on my palette. So let's just add some ultramarine blue deep here on the side. So funny, guys, when I made this palette with the bird, I intentionally put these wells in, and it turns out I never use them. I literally could have just made it all flat because that's how I use it. I just don't stick to my own wells. But hey, live and learn, right? So I think the next palette I'm gonna make is, well, first of all, I'm gonna use white porcelain. So this is a different type of clay, which is kind of dark. So I'm gonna use a really white clay and no wells. I'm just gonna make it flat. Okay, I just rinsed my brush again. I'm picking up some of my yellow. This is mostly blue and a little bit of yellow. And I have to say, you guys, lemon yellow and ultramarine blue make some of my absolute favorite greens. I do love greens that are more vibrant. So if you want more vibrant greens, you should use a cool yellow. For example, a lemon yellow. So a yellow that's leaning towards a green color already. Did I say green? I mean blue. So a cool yellow and a blue mixes two wonderful, wonderful, vibrant greens. I mean, look at that. It's almost neon, isn't it? It's like a neon lime green. Oh, just love this color. And for a more mossy green, you can actually add a little bit of black. So I think with these particular two colors, it's kind of tricky to achieve a nice murky moss green. So in that case, you just want to add a little bit of black to mute down. You can also use something like orange, for example, to mute You're very, very vibrant green, but I don't have orange here right now, I don't think. Or do I? Just to demonstrate. My lucky day. I got only 2 paints in this huge palette, and one of them is orange. Who would have thought? Okay. So mix a little bit of orange in, and you have a nice mossy green instantly. So every time you want to mute down a very, very vibrant color, just use the complementary color. So complementary color of blue. Where's my color wheel? Okay, real quick. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Apologies, that took a bit longer than expected. So on the color wheel, complementary color of blue is orange, which means when you mix these two together, you get a brown, but it also means if you use just a tiny, tiny bit of orange and mix it with blue, that you will mute the vibrancy of that blue color. So just as a tip, you can do this with all colors on the color wheel. So instead of using black, you can also use the opposite color on the color wheel to get a really beautiful muted version of that color. Okay, I'm gonna just mix a few more colors here so I can create my little color chart down on my sketchbook. Okay, let me rearrange things here. I'm grabbing my sketchbook again. Okay, here we go. Starting with the most intense yellow for my top swatch. Then I'm dipping my brush just a tiny little bit in water for the next swatch, and I'm rinsing it out a little more. And rinsing it out almost completely so there's hardly any yellow pigment left for the last swatch. Okay, now rinsing my brush. I'm gonna leave this row because I'm planning to add a row of my warmer yellow. I'm doing the same thing now as I did with my lemon yellow, just adding more and more water, rinsing my brush. Okay, let's do the same with the mango. Now you can see the difference between the cool yellow and the, oh, sorry. The cool yellow and the warm yellow. Much better. Okay. Uh-oh. My dog's he's making strange sounds. Okay, oh, what are you doing? Oh, did you just puke on the rug? Oh. And of course he does it during the live stream, doesn't he? Na? Hast du echt auf den Teppich gekotzt, du? Hm? Da, schau her. Mei, Sauerei. So Sauerei. All right. Okay, you know, I'm gonna show you how to create a row of green swatches down there, and then I'm gonna have to go and clean up the mess my little puppy just made on the rug. Ay, 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 ay. Any of you guys have puppies at home? He's 7 months now. It's quite the ride. Yeah, best thing ever. It is really, really so much fun. But you know, there's always something going on. There's always something happening, especially during the live streams, of course. Here we go. That's such a pretty green. Okay, so while this dries a little more, I'm excusing myself just for a minute to go and clean up the little puppy accident there. I'll be right back. Yes, Sarah du, ha? Einfach so hingekotzt. Hättest ja auch rausgehen können dafür, ne? Ja. Hä? Du kleine Schlawiner. Hä? Du hier, du Saubatzi, gell? Da schau her, mein. What a mess. Alright guys, I'm coming back. I'm back. Oh, Agnieszka feels sorry for my dog. Aw, you hear that, puppy? They don't feel sorry for me, they feel sorry for you. Ah. Oh, and oh, Carrie has a Carrie has a cat that thinks he's a puppy. Oh, I think I remember you told me that. And didn't we didn't we talk about how my large black cat behaves like a dog a lot? Like, you know, he runs up the driveway to greet us when we return home because he knows what our car sounds like. He runs up the driveway. So cute. He's a cat though, so it's really nice. Okay, I'm going to just check real quick, and this is still too wet. I could use my hair dryer, but I thought I'm gonna show you how to sketch the bird real quick too. Just because in the next step we're gonna do the pencil sketch on top of the yellow background, and it would be good if you didn't, you know, try to erase your pencil sketch, because it's just gonna mess up the paper. Now, I know that's a lot to ask, but that's why we're gonna practice drawing the bird first. So first of all, bear in mind how big your paper is. So you're gonna practice drawing your bird the exact size that you wanted on the paper. So for me, that would be about this size. I'm sorry if some of these things here are off camera, so let me rearrange it a little bit. So around this, and then for the proportions, the head is about this size, the body is about twice, I'd say 2.5 times the width of the head. 1, 2.5. So you have the circle here, the oval for the head, another oval for the body, and that will be approximately the proportion. And now also you have the tail. The tail of the blue jay is usually pretty long, but because on the reference photo the angle is a slightly from below, it's a bit shortened. So I'd say it's a bit shorter than the body. So about 2/3 of the body for the tail, and that will be your basic outline for, or the skeleton of the bird. Let me go a bit closer, zoom in a little bit. Here we go. Now that we have the proportions for the head, body, 2.5 times, and then the tail, we can also put in the line here. This part of the bird is kind of like a grayish color, not very defined. It's very small grayish feathers, or grayish blue. Then this part here is where the two wings meet and cross, and that's where the bird has very distinctive patterns. They are black stripes on blue, black, and white feathers. Oopsie. And then on the photo, the bird actually has a pretty fluffy, fluffy little belly. So cute. I don't even have the photo here. I was just thinking maybe I could show you on my iPad, but the chat is on the iPad. So if you have received my newsletter yesterday, I included the reference photo. I found it on unsplash.com. And a guy called Jeffrey Hines photographed it, and I just thought it's the most beautiful photo. That composition and the colors just really inviting me to paint it. Okay, you have a few overlapping feathers here for the tail. And then there was a tiny foot sticking out like this, I believe. This is for the body. And then for the face and the head, you place the eye approximately here. So it's going to be on the right hand side of the head. And then they have very pointy beaks with a slight hook at the end, very tiny. So it's like this, and then a tiny slight, it's really minimal. You don't actually probably have to paint it. You have to kind of think that it's there, maybe. So it's just a tiny impression of this little hook. Maybe a bit wider. Then a little fuzzy beard down. And then what makes them so distinctive is, first, they have a little, I don't know how you call that, but they have feathers sticking out here, the top of the head, and then a broad black ring, stripe going down on the side of the head like this. And then there's also some black parts around the eye, kind of like a mask almost. All right. So just, to really quickly recap, you're gonna break down this bird into 3 parts. So this is the head, and you start with the head with the oval, and then you make the body 2.5 times the size of the head, and you add the tail, which is about double the width of the head, so like this, and then you have the proportions. If you like, and you're pretty safe in, I'd say, painting the details of the bird, you can just do the very basic shapes of the bird on your yellow background and then just immediately jump into the watercolor. Because once you have the watercolor down and you do the pencil on top, I wouldn't erase anything, or maybe just super careful. But I think it's better to just not try and erase on watercolor paper too much, and especially when you already painted on it. Okay, I'm gonna just quickly dry the rest with my hairdryer. Be right back. Go. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is dry. Let me rearrange things here one more time. Okay, let's zoom out a tiny bit more. Pull this down. I need my pencil. And here we go. Maybe I'll push this more in the center because we don't really need this side here. Let me get a clip to clip this down. I think I'm gonna put it on this side. So I got this clip in Japan, but it says schön and then toujours ensemble. So it has German and French on it, but I got it in Japan. It's made in Japan. I thought that was kind of funny. All right, you guys. Are you painting along today, or is it too late where you are at? Hands up. Who's painting along today? Yay, Carrie's painting. Is it Carrie or Carrie Ann? I mean, what do you prefer? Tracy, Sabine, Melly, you guys are wonderful. Okay. So you haven't painted much at all because I'm just talking story while my dog is barfing story. Okay, so I told you before I want to utilize the white space here. So I'm gonna put the head of my bird where that white space is. Put that oval in. I hope you can see that I'm pressing down very lightly. And then this is the width of my head, and I'm gonna try and add the body to about 2.5. 1, 2.5. Size of the head. Draw my little egg shape here. The wings connect at about here, and then from that point where the wings cross, the tail protrudes here. Here we go. Can you see this at all? Let me zoom in a little bit. Oh, Mom's worried about the little cat. Oh, he's fine. You know, I think what happened is sometimes, I mean, we really try to pay attention, but we feed our cats and the dog separately in actually separate rooms. But sometimes the dog sneaks out and he grabs a little bit of the cat food that's left over, you know, the kibbles. There's something in cat food that dogs love the smell or the taste of it, or I don't know. But it's not good for them, so we really try to not have them sneak over and eat the cat food. But it happens, and then sometimes, you know, more happens. Okay, let's continue. So I'm gonna this time continue drawing the details of the head. So let's put the eye here on the right hand side. And then the beak, slight curve, tiny little hook, make it wide enough. Here we go, little tiny beard. I think I have to go up a little more for the forehead here, and then the really great hair day we have up here, and then connecting with the body. So you're gonna want to draw the neck a little wider like this, and then you have a just going down the body. This is the part where the plumage is just gray, bluish gray. Then you have the triangle here for where the wings meet and overlap. And those beautiful tail feathers. I honestly don't think I've ever seen a blue jay. I mean, they're more on the, not more, I mean, we don't have them here, full stop. I know why. But I know that they must be not too rare on the mainland, are they? America mainland, I mean. And Canada as well, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there are different types of blue jays too, aren't they? Aren't there? So this is what I'm doing right now is actually really interesting, you guys, because I'm not referring to my reference photo, to the original photo. I'm drawing and using my original painting as my reference. And that leads to kind of interesting variations. So I always encourage you to try something new, and this would be something I would encourage you to do as well. Take one of your paintings and paint it again. You will have some interesting results because you're not too focused anymore on getting things right, as in just as in the reference photo. You're gonna more focus on other things. So for me, for example, I'm focusing more on the proportions of the bird and trying to figure out how it will look on the page to make it, you know, really harmonious, like trying to position it right on the page rather than trying to focus on the tiniest bit of details, you know, where does this line go, and where does the bird have this line in the head. So this is a very, very good exercise for you to loosen up a little bit. And then afterwards, it's also fun to actually pull out the original reference photo again and to see, okay, I kind of veered off totally on that one. It's a fun exercise. I just really, you know, just a little encouragement for you maybe to try that one day. Okay. Oh, you lovely guys answered my question about the blue jays. Debbie says, yes, East Coast has them. So that would be East Coast of the United States. Linda has them in her yard in Tennessee. And there are lots of them in the mountains in California. Also North Carolina. Sabina lives in Seattle, right? I have tons in my backyard. Wow, so they're all over the American continent up there. I'm gonna keep an eye out next time I go to the mainland. I'm telling you guys, I have so many places in America that I would love to visit. It's too much. It's such an interesting country nature-wise, and I want to see it all. I want to go to the national parks and everywhere, and I want to try all the foods and everything. But, you know, living in Hawaii, I'm like, it's such a great place here to live in and so much to explore. I almost feel bad going somewhere else on vacation because, duh, I'm already in vacation land, right? So you know what I mean, I'm sure. Tracy says road trip time. Ah, that would be wonderful. Yeah. I'm afraid though my husband would just take this opportunity and buy a new, not a new car. I mean, buy a car over there, probably a classic car, and try to fix it and then do the road trip with that. That would be Mr. Coffee. So other than coffee, he loves old cars and fixing them. And you know that in America we have a lot of those classic cars. I also like to call them rust buckets because that's what they do here in Hawaii. So, road trip in a rust bucket. Wouldn't that be a great title for a sketchbook? Road trip in a rust bucket. Okay, see, this is how my mind is, you guys. This is how my mind likes to take me places. I just grabbed my palette again. I have a little bit of ultramarine blue left on that one, and it's very watered down, as you can see. I have my round brush size 10. It's important you use a round brush with a very pointy tip. If you don't have a large round brush with a pointy tip, just use a smaller one, because for this part you want to be making sure you can paint the details of your bird, just using utilizing the sharp pointy tip of your brush. So I'm starting with just laying down a very watery version of my Kalani ultramarine blue. And because there's already yellow on the background, make sure you don't rub too much. You just want to go over your branches with pretty much one light stroke. And you can see how it achieved it. It achieves really nice green and brown tones already, just because we have this yellow underpainting there. Okay, looking over to the chat. And Debbie says her husband's like that too. Oh, I cannot come visit you, Debbie, then, because we would just have the two guys stuck in the garage trying to fix the car, I swear, and I would never get anywhere. Alina likes the idea of my Rust Bucket road trip book. Very good, thank you. Yeah, but I think Alina's mind and mine are, sometimes, similar in the way we think, I believe, if I may say so. And Jessica would love to come and visit Hawaii. Yeah, it's, I'm a visitor here too, a forever visitor, because I didn't grow up here. So for me, every single day, you guys, I wake up, I look outside, and I still think I'm dreaming. It's still such a incredible thing. I made it all the way from Europe over here. So I'm gonna stick to my size 10 round brush. I'm gonna hold it upright, and I'm gonna do the same as I did with my branches. A very, very watered down version of my Kalani ultramarine blue. And I'm pretty much now painting the outlines of the bird. When you get to the beak, make sure you only paint the underside. I'm trying to move my hand in a way so that it's not in the way of you guys to see what I'm doing. It's a bit awkward. But, I normally don't paint like this, just so you know. This is just for you to be able to see better what I'm doing. So just go over the whole bird and very gently put down a watered down layer of your ultramarine blue. And please use a smaller brush if this is not working for you. You know me, I love painting with large brushes. I always try to use different brushes to make it easier on myself, but I actually end up painting a lot of my paintings in one go with one large brush. It's a bit silly. Okay. I think my blue jay looks, it looks more like a little tiny singing bird. Ah, you know what? I think it's because the proportions, yeah, the body is a little bit too small in comparison to the head. It's cute. It's kind of like a more cartoonish version of a blue jay, I think. Yeah, cute. So whenever this kind of thing happens to you, don't worry. I think as long as you put in the distinctive features of that particular bird, you will still be able to recognize it as a blue jay. So in this case, you know, the stripes we're gonna put in later, and then this diagonal part here, the darker stripe between the head and the neck, would be a very distinctive feature. And then the head feathers, I think. There's probably more distinctive features of blue jay, but these would be the few that I would be focusing on. Okay, I'm gonna lay my large brush to the side, and ta-da! Size 4 round brush. So I'm switching my brushes. And looking at what Alina says. Okay, she says, I actually went a step further with your book and made it about myself. I'm very keen on mental health and how the brain-mind works, especially my own, so I would make the book about my own head. I would be the rust bucket since my, hold on, what does it say? My hair has the rust color anyway. Alina, you're so precious. So my book would be about the rust bucket sketchbook, but it would be about the road trip, and Alina has her own road trip in her own head. Ah, precious. I love you guys. You guys are great. These sessions always turn out wonderful. Always interesting for me to see how we get from, you know, blue jays to rust buckets somehow. That happens. Sabina says she was on Maui for 10 days and it's a little paradise. I haven't been to Maui in so long. It's been 7 years, I think, since my last time in Maui, which is crazy. You know, it reminds me, you guys, when I lived in Switzerland, how rarely I went to Italy or France, even though it was next door, literally, maybe 2 hours by car, or, you know, 1 hour by train even. It's just amazing how when you live somewhere, sometimes you don't venture out as much anymore. I thought, you know, when I moved to Hawaii, I would be traveling all the time and island hopping all the time, and nope. I'm actually mostly here at home editing videos and, you know, doing household stuff and prepping live streams and all that, making paint. And I'm not complaining, but yeah, there's really a lot less visiting places than I anticipated, I guess. And Alina says we would be New York Magazine bestsellers. Absolutely. Our books, the Rust Buckets. Oh, what a nice hashtag that would be. The Rust Bucket Sketchbook. kind of liking the idea. It's probably somebody has done that already, don't you think? Sometimes I have these ideas and I feel like, oh my gosh, such a great idea. And I look up the hashtag and it's like, Keiko, you're late, way late. Been there, done that. Okay, with my very pointy size 4 round brush, I just put in some more ultramarine blue. So basically what I'm doing is very carefully stippling in more pigment. And you can also add tiny little brush strokes where you want a little bit more texture and definition. Alina says, I write the book, you make the sketches. Hell no, you can paint, girl. You can make the sketches. You don't need me to make the sketches. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just adding another layer of pigments of the same color. And in some areas, like the one we're getting to now, which are the wings, I'm kind of adding a little bit of texture. And I'm also starting to put in the stripes. So those distinctive little stripes on the feathers of the blue jay. Now you can be, of course, at this point, more detailed if you like, or you can keep it very loose like I'm doing here. Hold on, let me think. This wing is on top of the other, which means we have a little line here. Yeah, okay. More stripes. And a little bit of the fluffy under feathers. Here we go. And I'm dropping in some more of my blue in some places. So I decided that my light is coming from the top right, which means that a little bit later I'm going to add a bit more darker colors to the left-hand side of everything, both the branches and the bird. So I can already start doing that by dropping in more pigment on the left-hand side in comparison to the right-hand side here. So at this point, I don't really need to use the palette anymore. I could just pretty much paint directly from the paint pan onto my bird. But I got used to, I guess, checking the color and consistency on the palette. You have a little bit more control over how thick your paint is and what it looks like when you use a palette. Hold on, this is a little longer on this side. Okay, I'm gonna grab a tiny little bit of my black and mix it with my ultramarine blue. Makes for a really nice, almost indigo hue, and then dropping in some of that dark mix here on the left hand side of the bird. And then a very, very watered down version of this. I want to do this here on this part too, but see how very wet this still is. So if I did this now, everything would just smear. So I have to wait till this is dry, and then with a very quick stroke, I can add that shadow later on. But before I do that, I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna just take care of the branches here. Okay, Alina, I'm gonna write the book. And not write the book. You're gonna write the book. I'm gonna paint it. And Mom says, oh yes, dear Jessica, Hawaii is my dreamland #1 too. I was 3 times already in Hawaii Island. Yes, that's the island where I live. I had most beautiful experiences about all vegetation and for the amazing beaches. Yes. And hopefully my mom will get to visit me again this year. It's been a while. So last time she was here in 2019. So yeah, 5 years. Hopefully I get to take her back. So I'm planning to go visit Germany sometime this year, and then on the way back, take her with me. And then have her stay here for a few weeks. I mean, if it were up to me, you know, I'd have her stay here for a few months. Okay, I'm mixing ultramarine blue with a little bit of black, and then also grabbing some of my medium cadmium yellow. I think I mentioned this last week. If you're mixing your paints in something that's not very smooth, you can also use a different brush to mix your paints. You know, if you have an expensive brush you paint with, you can always grab another cheaper brush to mix your paints, just to save your expensive brush bristles. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just adding a little bit of this darker mix to the underside of all my little branches. And you can use little stippling strokes here too to indicate that this is a tree branch and has a little bit of a texture. Picking up some of my ultramarine blue. Let's see, we have some space. Oh, let's just add it here. And add it a little more here at the bottom of my branches. And on this one too. Okay, time for some colored pencils. Apologies, I don't think I mentioned these in the beginning of this session, but I did prepare some water-soluble colored pencils. This is a Caran supracolor blue indigo, and this is a Faber Castell Albrecht Dürer olive green yellowish. I'm using water-soluble colored pencils because my paper is still wet. And you always want to make sure when you use colored pencils on top of watercolor and the paper is still wet, that you do not use the regular colored pencils, but the ones that are water-soluble, because they are very soft and they will mix immediately with the wet paint on the paper. With the regular colored pencils, you would just end up ripping your paper. If you don't have water-soluble colored pencils and you still want to add some texture, just wait till your paper is completely dry, and then you can just go over your paper and painting with a regular colored pencil as well. So the texture of this paper is rather on the smooth side. It does have a little bit of tooth, but not too much. And I find that that's very good for adding colored pencil, because you'll get a little bit of a texture, but not too much. So the only reason why I don't 100% completely love the popular and famous Arches paper is that it shows, the cold press paper shows the texture of colored pencil a lot. So you have to bear that in mind. And of course, you know, I am aware that that paper is predominantly made for just watercolor. So not necessarily for this type of mixed media that I like to utilize. But yeah, just saying, because I love to add colored pencil on top of my watercolor, I tend to prefer watercolor paper that has a bit more of a smooth texture. So not necessarily a hot press paper with a super smooth surface, but any type of cold press paper that is still fairly smooth is my favorite. I feel like my branch up there is kind of lost. It's just a big chunk of a branch here. So how about I think I'm gonna have a little, like a little branch come out of this one. Hi, puppy. How are you feeling? No? Hi. Are you feeling better? Yeah, you look pretty good. So. Nee, den kannst du nicht essen. Das ist mein teurer Pinsel. Kriegst du nicht. Yeah, I think I like that. That looks, I don't know, it looks a little bit more intentional, I guess. Just grabbing my brush and lightly painting over it, so I add a tiny bit of a wash here. I'm rubbing on this part a little bit to reactivate the paint and to connect these parts. Oh, puppy. Okay, you're going down. No, he cannot lick my face now. He's just trying to climb up on my shoulder because he thinks he's a parrot. Yeah, I know you want to be a bird. I want to be a bird too. Yes, okay. We've established that. Now go. Alrighty. So what do you think? Does it look more like a blue jay, or does it still look like a tiny little singing bird? I don't know, but I like it. I mean, you know, this is just the thing about the live streams. You just don't really know how it's gonna turn out and what's gonna happen. And I think this is dry enough. Hopefully now that I can do what I mentioned earlier, is adding a little more of a shadow on this side. So diluting my paint and just doing one quick stroke down. I'm not sure if this is reflecting now for you guys with the camera, but it's really just, it's not much. Or it doesn't look like I've done much, but it will, I think, show up once it's dry. Okay. And I did the same here on the left-hand side of the tail of the bird. Okay, let me add a few more tiny strokes here. And I want to define the eye a little more. Okay, when you get to the point where you look at your painting and you like it, I would really recommend that you either leave it alone completely, step away for a half hour and come back and then decide whether or not you need to add anything, because a lot of the times when we just continue to paint, it will be too much. So at this point, because I really like it like this, I'm just gonna leave it, and I might add a few more details later, maybe, but I actually don't think so, because I think this is okay, especially because this is a sketchbook. So I'm gonna leave this like this for now. Und Melly says, ja, wie eine Blaumeise. Gell? Ich finde auch, das ist wie eine kleine Blaumeise. Blue tit in English. Those little yellow and blue singing birds. Keo! Ah, what is he? What are you? Oh. He just grabbed a little plastic bag. Oh, you. I swear. Yeah. You're driving me nuts. Yeah. Okay, you guys. I think it's really time for me to go play with the puppy. He's nimmt mir sonst das Haus auseinander. He's gonna tear the house apart. Okay, let me try and turn the camera around one more time so I can give you a proper goodbye. Here we go. I hope you enjoyed today's session, you guys. I always love painting with you. For next week, week 4 of this challenge, we have the prompt teacups with, was it a winter motif? I think so. And it's going to be monochrome blue, so only blue. I'm not going to have a live stream next week, but I will prepare a video tutorial for you guys. So make sure you come back next week here onto my channel to check out the tutorial. As always, I would be very grateful if you took a little bit of time and just left a tiny comment down below and or a heads up for this video. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope I'll see you again soon. Until then, happy creating and aloha!